As the boat left the harbour and turned seaward, the breeze stirred about them, and the bay broke up into long, oily undulations, then into ripples tipped with spray. The fog of sultriness still hung over the city, but ahead lay a fresh world of ruffled waters and distant promontories with lighthouses in the sun. This video is dedicated to everyone who just finished second year at IFA, which is the Institute of English Philology at the University of Wrocław. We've had a really long year, really long semester 4. So this past year has been a big challenge with studies, and one of the most demanding aspects of the philology course that I'm taking is that there are many modules and projects and so on, and literature modules only form one part of that course. Now, this video is not just for students reading for literature. The same tip can also have relevance for any reading of literature in general. Maybe you'll find today's tip to be just as silly as the tip from the first video, but give it a chance. The tip is mostly a psychological one. Let's say that for whatever reason, you have a long novel that you need to read. Let's say it's about 400 pages long. Just halve the number of pages, or chapters maybe, and set that as your target to read. Sometimes when you have one or even two large novels to read, you might feel that they are just too long and you might not even bother starting on them. If after 200 pages you find the book is completely unreadable and uninteresting, then fine, you can drop the book and do something else. But what you will find most of the time is that once you get about halfway through the novel, you will actually really want to know how it concludes. There are very few novels I have read these past 2 years where I just could not care less what happened next. I always find the first half is like going uphill, but then the second half is like going down. This is usually going to be the case with novels, as a novel has to set the scene, establish characters, establish some exposition and so on. By the time you reach the halfway stage, you will be familiar with these people and their environment. Your attention and concentration in the first half is like an investment that pays dividend in the second half. If you're reading a novel on a literature course, it is quite unlikely that the novel is just a bad read. Any novel that is a canonical text must have some redeemable features. It is unlikely that a novel would appear on a basic course simply for historical purposes. They say that attention spans have shortened. They were saying this long before the millennium. It isn't easy to sit quietly anymore with a long novel, especially if you have a dozen or other modules to study for. But try reading it up to the halfway mark, and you'll probably find yourself finishing the entire novel much quicker than you would have expected. So, if you've read a novel that you had to read and found it difficult to read at first, but was glad that you managed to read it to the end, feel free to share your story in the comments section below. Thank you.